Hey everybody, welcome to the Sunday edition. I'm Tresnay, host of Prime News that airs on FCN One on Mondays and Thursdays. I'm joined here with the Revolution editor of FCN Five, which is home of all things pop culture. Say what's up to everybody, Revolution.
Are you telling me to? Or?
Yes, I'm telling you to.
I mean, I was gonna say what's up to everyone regardless. Hey everybody.
Okay. All right. That was awesome.
Well, no. So I just saw. So little banter is what we call this in the industry, people. This is banter, what you're about to participate in. So I made a post on Sean King's post. I couldn't believe I didn't pay attention on Facebook. I
was gonna say.
I can't believe
that's one account where you're like, I can't retweet.
I can't believe I was on Talcum X's. Talcum X's. So it's about one of our topics today, right? Okay. It's about the Starbucks video, right? Mm-hmm. And so I wrote on his comments, I said, the irony is so many black people will forget this event like every other one, meaning all the events, the negative events that happen to people of color, when we have public outrage, say for instance H&M, killings of unarmed blacks, Latinos, natives, and I said every other one, and return to their lattes in less than 30 days. Zero pride, zero dignity, will accept any and all poor treatment so long as it wasn't you directly. I said shameful. Starbucks, like Walmart, remember Walmart
was selling a product that the color or something
nigger brown.
Nigger brown. Right.
And yet, what did we do about that? Like Walmart didn't even really do anything about it, and we're still shopping at Walmart. And so I said Starbucks, like Walmart and other businesses, should be outright boycotted. And so I just wanted to put that thought out there. And so this guy named Michael Hastings, you must surround yourself with lots of folks with no integrity, morals, or self-worth. Your comment was stupid, beyond belief, and I will pray for you. And yeah, seriously. And I was like, how so? I'm confused by your assessment.
Well, I think that hits on kind of two of our topics today, not just Starbucks, but the hashtag delete Facebook, of just the craziness of people on social media, where they come out of nowhere and they act as if they're responding to your comment, and you're trying to figure out what in the world did I say to justify what you just said. Like, there's nothing. For those who haven't figured it out or haven't heard about it, I don't know how you wouldn't have heard about Boycott Starbucks by now. But if you haven't, we're going to run a quick video created and edited by FCN on The Revolution to give you a clue of what happened for two gentlemen in Philadelphia when they went to a Starbucks.
Who wants Starbucks?
I'm about to go to Starbucks right now.
Starbucks!
I'm about to go to Starbucks right now.
A few moments later.
I love that video. It's very hilarious. I like how you just cut to the chase to show exactly what happened in that situation. Again, for those who know, in Philadelphia, two gentlemen went to a Starbucks to wait for a white acquaintance, if you will. They were meeting for
a business associate. They were two realtors.
Right, and they were trying to get understanding of what opportunities existed in that particular area in Philadelphia. So they were waiting for a white guy to come to basically have a meeting in Starbucks. We all know that Starbucks is the office for folks who ain't got no office. If you don't know nothing about Starbucks, people get coffee there, but it is the meeting place to meet people when you just don't want to have them in your any other space. It is the meeting place of America. It is. They've actually called it the remote office for lots of people. People go there and will post up in Starbucks for hours to work, to read, to play chess, to meet up in their neighborhoods. That is Starbucks. And anywho, a white woman who was managing that particular Starbucks, called the police because she felt that those two men were loitering. They were just sitting there. They hadn't ordered. They hadn't done anything. So she called the police to have them come. The police indeed did come. And they were told that that the gentleman used the bathroom without buying something. And that was against Starbucks policy.
Which is not.
Which is not. Unless, because can I just say, there are some Starbucks that will have a coded door.
Yes.
And the only way you get the code is if you buy something.
Yeah.
Right? Which clearly didn't exist at this Starbucks. So anywho, police came. There were 5 police officers on the scene.
Yes, it's 2 black men. Those are good odds.
5 police officers and asked them 3 times to leave. They did not leave, so they arrested them on defiant trespassing. Arrested them, handcuffed them, as you saw in the video, and escorted them. Prosecutor was like, what the fudge? Did not press charges, and they were released. Can I just start off and say this one comment? Because there's plenty of comments that we can make on this subject, plenty of ways this conversation goes. But I just want to start off that the police, first of all, people call police for all kinds of reasons. Legitimate reasons, bad reasons, whatever, okay? They just do. But the police are in the best position to de-escalate or escalate a situation. They are in the best position to be like, come on now. Or in the best position to go, this is a safety issue, and to do what they have been trained to do to de-escalate whatever the situation is. And in this situation, I can't say I can't believe it, but I can't believe it that they chose to escalate something as simple as, I can't even say a misunderstanding, because there's no reports that this white manager went up to them and said, hey, what's happening? Y'all, like, nothing. You just called the police on them. And they were every position to ask the guys questions. What are you here for? Okay, and just leave. And we did not see that today.
Okay.
And we don't ever see that in anything. They continue to choose escalation.
I do want to add, the chief of police in Philadelphia did a live video. He claims that they asked the guys to leave before they called the police.
Who asked?
The Starbucks employee.
I didn't see that in the report.
And then he said that they went in and they asked them to leave, and they didn't leave when the police asked them. And then when they were at the station, the reason they were let go was because Starbucks contacted them and said, we're not going to press charges. So that's the story from the chief of police in Philadelphia.
But they didn't do anything.
And here's the thing. All the witnesses in the Starbucks said the guys weren't doing anything. And here's what bothered me was, in order to prosecute folks for stuff, you got to have witnesses. And all the witnesses in the room are saying they didn't do anything. You wouldn't have anything to prosecute. So you're telling me Starbucks called, but at the end of the day, you had no witnesses. And a prosecutor certainly would be like, we have no witnesses. And if they did indeed call, and they called, there's nothing to press charges for here. But again, they didn't do anything.
Okay.
I'm frustrated at just the continual choice to escalate situations. Here we have something where no one had a gun, right? Because we see that they keep doing this even with unarmed black men, right? Where you continue to choose escalation. And they always say, well, we felt we were in danger and we escalated the situation. And here we don't have anything of violence, we don't have any guns, and yet the police continue to choose escalation. Again, I can't say that I'm shocked that this happened, but I am very bothered that in this situation they still chose escalation in a Starbucks.
Okay, so what's your point? You said all of that to say what?
You know, I think that's just my point, that they just continue to choose escalation even in this. Like,
but why are you putting it at the police's feet? Like, so first and foremost, I hear you, but you're laying it at the police. And the first thing that you said was, this is America's meetup spot.
It is.
First and foremost, there are 2 Americas. Okay.
Okay, I forgot. I'm sorry. When you're talking Revolution on Sunday Edition, you have to use your adjectives of white or black America, and it is white America. I mean, and I know that the
and
other
it's assimilation America.
Yeah,
like,
but I understand that the other point is definitely going to be about being black people in white spaces. Starbucks is a white space. Like, it absolutely.
It's all white spaces.
It is a white
and
space.
I don't go there. Like, when people are like, hey, we're gonna meet at Starbucks, I be looking at people cross-eyed like, what am I? I don't want to meet at Starbucks. I don't want to hang out with people who smell like patchouli oil.
Oh my God.
I don't want to hang out. No, because you go in there, every time you go in there, every single time you go into Starbucks, every time I've gone into Starbucks, I always get 1 or 2 white people who just like turn and look at you like, what are you doing in here? Like Starbucks is some type of holy grail, some type of hidden, Shangri-La, if you will, a bastion of whiteness where what's your black ass doing in here? And I'm like, coffee beans are grown in Africa.
They do not.
So, coffee grows in brown places. So, and it was brought from Africa. So just like plantains, plantanos, bananas, whatever the hell y'all want to call various species of that said fruit. But here's the problem that I have, right? Like, Black Americans, African Americans, Caribbean Americans, all the people whom genetic ancestry dates back to the continent of Africa, right? People of melanin, whatever all of those different themes, those people. Like, why do we keep trying to place ourselves in that spot, in that space, in that place with those people whom get uncomfortable with your presence? And then black people go, my people built this country, and da-da-da-da. Hey, fam, I get it. I get it. But you know what, though? The Native Americans, this was their country.
Before
and the Mexicans, it was their country. And it was a whole bunch of people's, and a whole bunch of people did stuff. And we're the easiest to spot in a crowd.
Absolutely.
I just had a very interesting conversation with FCN VP of Content, Rafael Martinez, and he was talking about how Latinos in the struggle Olympics will stay losing because blacks do not identify them in certain realms, right? And it is unfair, but when you are a fair-skinned to white Latino, right? It's much easier for you to blend in and not stand out as it is for some black person whom you can target much easier with all of your rage and angst and whatever it is your problem is. So my question is, why do we keep going there? We had a brilliant era for us after Reconstructionism in Harlem, in Chicago, in Atlanta, in Cleveland, in Los Angeles, in Texas. We had Detroit. There were a lot of places where blacks said, you know what, they don't want us there, so we're going to create our own spaces. And those spaces became the coolest and hippest spaces. So what is it about now that as soon as our space, our product, our voice, our face, everything that we are, as soon as it becomes cool and hip, we're selling it out to them.
Always.
And then we think that gives you a pass to merge into their space when it doesn't. I don't care. Chris Rock had a brilliant joke, but he wasn't really telling a joke. He was saying, my next door neighbor is a dentist.
Yes.
He said he didn't invent nothing. He's a dentist. And Chris Rock is a millionaire actor, comedian, writer, producer,
quite
director.
Innovative in his area.
Well,
you want to say he's innovative?
In comedy, I would say.
That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. In comedy, he's taking a lot from French cinema, but I'm not gonna get into that. But I don't get what y'all want. What do you want? What do you want? Like, here's the thing. Why do you all? And I know I get hit for saying you all, but this is just how I talk. But I think you know
what they want. A lot of Black America wants to be accepted. They want to be able to assimilate, and they want to be able to integrate into these spaces. Even when all the events that happen around us are to the contrary, show you to the contrary that, yeah, this might be legal, but we don't want it. We don't want you here. We don't. It's never been my personal experience to walk into a Starbucks and see everybody kind of stare at me, but I don't think I've ever thought about it from the perspective of a black man to walk in and grab a cup of coffee and people, kind of not even kind of see you as threatening in being in that space. But there are places that I've been in and you walk in and you be like, this is not for me to be in. There's a local coffee spot near where I live, and I went in to just try a new space. And I promise you, I have not been back since, because you could feel it in every instance, I was not wanted in that space. I've not been there. And I'm like, it would be great if I could find a new cup of coffee. I'm going to try a Cuban spot and see if I can get a cup of coffee from there. But you can feel it and you're like, I shouldn't be in here. A lot of people on Twitter were talking about the anxiety of being in white spaces, and I just couldn't understand on what you're saying is, why do you keep going back if you're experiencing the physical symptoms and the psychological symptoms of having anxiety, where people are eyeing you and they're telling you with all of their behavior that they don't want you there.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, I am agreeing with you, but people still want to assimilate. They want what they want.
They want what they want. And it's like, Starbucks is no different than a pair of Jordans, than an Apple device, than a Mercedes Benz. There are certain companies who have done very well to make their products hip, and you're not with it if you do not have this product. And Starbucks did that. Starbucks was the first person to actually brand themselves as part of culture, as opposed to just being a beverage.
Right. That's right.
They made themselves as cultural. And so whenever you see white people having stuff, and whatever it is in this life, we have to have it too. I don't want to be the person without the white cup with the green emblem on it, and I have to have the trendy beverage as well. I have to say I shop and drink and support Starbucks, and because if I don't, then it seems that I don't have the money, the financial resources to keep up with my white counterparts who purchase Starbucks instead of going and getting you a regular $99.29 cup of coffee, because if you just want caffeine, you'll just get caffeine. So it's all about status, and it sucks because there are so many of us, and I say black people, who are all stunting. You're all it's just bred to stunt. Like, we all live much, much beyond our means
in many ways.
And it's in that little simplicity of, I'm going to spend $5 for something that costs 99 cents. All to just have it. And you can't tell me Starbucks' regular cup of coffee is not good.
It's very burnt. And it's about $1 to $2.
It's not good. It's not they do not make a good regular cup of coffee.
No, they burn it.
And so, if you're going in there and all the frappa, moopa, latte, cuckoo, cha-cha, poo-poo, pee-pee, pop-pops, then fine, so be it. But I'm not here to speak against you, but you also have to know that you are funding. Show me someone black. Show me a black woman and a black man that are financially benefiting from Starbucks on the Starbucks board.
They are not. So
no.
There's a research project that I did on Starbucks for a public relations related reason, and I think one of the most impactful things of doing that research was, Starbucks does that whole fair trade, a lot of narrative about fair trade and making sure that they're doing what's right, if you will, and harvesting their coffee from black and brown countries. And in really reading that, going, none of this is fair. You might be paying a higher price, but what's actually happening truly isn't fair and isn't really helping the brown and black countries really truly profit, if you will. And so for that and other reasons, I personally have stayed away from being a daily patron of Starbucks. But it is very much a status symbol. It is very much, wanting to be in that atmosphere that they have created in making it a pop culture, if you will, thing.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Their Wi-Fi sucks. Their Wi-Fi is not great. It's always
nasty couches and a bunch of people have
I feel like their bed bugs abound.
It's funny because Tiffany Shackelford commented, said Panera is the official new remote office.
No, there are a lot of people that meet at Panera. I've seen people have church service
in Panera.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Have you seen that?
I've not seen the church. I've not seen
No,
the
I mean,
church
but you've
service,
seen
I've seen a
people-
lot of people meeting there, and
Yeah.
there are people there. Every time I go in there, there's multiple people with their computers,
Yeah.
like set up shop, not just like casually, but papers on the table, everything.
Yeah.
I'd like to address one comment we have from David Barrow. He says, I believe that Starbucks is making it right from the top down. It's the local store that's going to get a talking to when the CEO comes to town. Can we roll to the actual apology? We have a clip of that on the screen. It says, we apologize to the two individuals and our customers and are disappointed this led to an arrest. Key point, are disappointed this led to an arrest. We take these matters seriously and clearly have more work to do when it comes to how we handle incidents in our stores. We are reviewing our policies. We'll continue to engage, blah, 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 to make sure this never happens again. I think the key point in this apology is that it focused on the arrest, that it led to an arrest, rather than looking at the fact that you have allowed your employee to target two black men who were doing nothing different than everybody else that's in the store. This employee has not been fired. Not at all. There has been no real apology on, hey, this employee made a huge mistake. This was not a part of our policies. You blamed it on a bathroom policy. And so if you're saying that they're making it right, I disagree with that 100%. I see this as helping their environment that they're trying to create for their customer, of keeping it from being whatever that atmosphere that they're trying to create. If this person in this area, this white woman, felt like this was disrupting the environment or was safe, they're going to support her. They would have fired her if it was truly against their policies. No, you focused on the arrest. We're sad that this led to an arrest, not that this happened at all. You can see men's anxiety in the picture, in the video. You can see that they are stunned that this is happening. Like, I can't even imagine the trauma that they might have just felt in this just happening. Like, it just escalating so much, but they didn't focus on that. They focused on the fact that it was an arrest. So I don't agree the CEO is going to make any of this right. I don't believe this employee is going to be fired. I think
no one's getting fired, but they are going to do something for those two men. They have to. They're going to, whatever they lost in that day, they have to, because they didn't do anything. They went quietly. They didn't, as you saw in the video, they went quietly. They just, they got up. Once they were arrested, but here's the thing.
I don't think that they are.
Here's the thing. We apologize to two individuals, and our customers, and are disappointed this led to an arrest. We take these matters seriously and clearly have more work to do when it comes to how we handle incidents in our stores. Let us be very frank here. You place this at Starbucks' feet.
No,
right?
I have multiple people who are at blame. I started with the police.
Yes, but I'm talking about in this statement. That's why I read it. So you said that the CEO and they should fire this woman and da-da-da. This isn't a Starbucks issue. This is an America issue.
Yes.
Because you're going to keep hiring people who just fear. Like, I don't understand how in this day and age, that I'm still the boogeyman. I'm still the boogeyman. When there are white males running around here shooting up schools, that are disemboweling people, that are eating human heads, no, man, I'm serious, man. Like you go, wait, how am I the boogie? How am I still the boogeyman when it's clear that once the Emancipation Proclamation happened, and the United States of America freed black slaves, we did not go on a murder spree. Did I miss something in the history book? Please, there was one incursion that's famous. That's Nat Turner. Right?
Yep.
They were slaves.
Yes.
They were rebelling, right? Can I tell you about another incursion? A rebellion that's huge and we celebrate it every single year.
What's that?
I believe it's called the 4th of July. We live to celebrate America's rebellion against the British. But Nat Turner isn't celebrated for leading his people in a rebellion for their freedom. Right. And it's that type of thinking for me that always plagues that what's good for white people is never what's good for blacks. Chris Rock said it again. Here go another Chris Rock reference. Whites are the only people that can profit from pain.
The only.
And we live in a society where I don't own a large corporation that does hiring, that creates a culture, that creates a space.
Right.
I don't own one. So I know if I did that, I would hire people whom were nice to everyone, who's saying like, hey guys, like come into the store and buy and purchase and feel good and not exclude anyone, because I've been indoctrinated throughout my life to, you know, kind of be the nice Negro. You know, well, you know, good manners grease the wheels. I was told by a very gorgeous elder white woman. Told me good manners grease the wheels. And so, you know, my whole life I had to smile, I had to be presentable, I had to speak well, and yet and still my complexion is just too dark, my shoulders are just too broad. If I'm in my resting face is Ice Cube-ish. It is rather thuggy. It looks very intimidating. It looks like, it's just like.
Yeah, you do have resting thug face.
You know, and it's, you know, unless I'm doing this 24/7, which is exhausting. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Starbucks. So here you go. Wanda Sykes had a comment.
Yeah, she did. She said, WTF, problem, blacks, especially black men, are perceived as a menace. These men weren't in a bank lobby waiting for a friend. They were in a damn Starbucks, the meet me spot in America. But at the end of the day, that black men are perceived as a menace.
Yeah, but Wanda Sykes is married to a French white woman, and she writes for Roseanne.
Head writer.
So
Head
I don't know how much I'm listening to Wanda anymore.
There's another comment in here that I would like to mention to Stephen. K. Richmond says, so instead of just boycotting, shouldn't we just go hang out there and not buy anything? Just sit there in silence. I think it's called a sit-in, which is still a form of boycotting or protesting. I'm going to disagree with that and say no. Because I think it's coming from the place of Starbucks not being a black space. And I think sitting in has the underlying reasoning of wanting to be in that space, wanting to be included in that space, right? Because, I mean, lunch counters, it was, hey, you don't serve black people. We should be able to come here. It's a public space, so we're going to sit in. And I think in this day and age, it's 2002 damn long, and they don't want us in their spaces. I don't think that sentiment has changed since then.
2018 years since Jesus Christ died for all y'all sins, and y'all are still running around here sitting on up. You know what, man? Move on. I'm gonna get real triggered and start.
Yes, if y'all want to, you can see other episodes of the Sunday edition where we've talked about black people. It's time to get out of white spaces. I believe that was our Black Panther episode. So go back to the Sunday after February the 15th-ish, and you can watch that episode because we then just be rehashing what we talked about there. But that
Starla said, what? She said, I like that idea. Let's sit in and make everyone uncomfortable. Like, that's funny. That's funny. Like, to just go sit in and we just go sit there and just, cause like, but that's the thing though. It still goes back to they're waiting for that day. Okay. Have you ever done something wrong and your parents knew about it? And they told you to go to your room, or they just sat you there and you didn't know what the punishment was, you didn't know what the reaction was, and you were afraid.
Yes.
They didn't say anything, they didn't do anything, but you were afraid because you knew it was coming.
Right.
That's how I feel the majority of the people who behave like that, because they're like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They're gonna wake up one day and they're gonna come to get us. Because of everything that we've done.
Right.
And they have to keep this narrative, we didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Right.
We didn't. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
you did. You did a whole lot. You did it, and you keep doing a whole lot. And I just don't want to, I'm not as eloquent of a, because I don't play these games and try to word myself in respectability politics. I don't care how educated I may be or how great of a speaker I may be. If there's shit, I'm gonna call it shit, and I'm just gonna say that. And if this is all bullshit to me, man. It's like every time we turn around, I cannot do anything. Black kids cannot do anything. They slammed a girl down a security guard for wanting to go to a pool. Like, we can keep talking about these instances.
Just had that young boy get shot at for trying to ask for directions, knocking on his house. Like,
so what are we talking about? But let me say this, and let me say this, and again, this is our fault. You know why? Because instead of, once we got these good educations from these PWIs, we go get these good little jobs, and you know what we do? We don't go back to our neighborhood and buy up the neighborhood and fix up our neighborhood and our space. No, we take our little $100,000 jobs
and go on white space,
and then we go move to their space and take all of our tax money to make their infrastructure better.
Yes.
You go and make their infrastructure better, and no one invests in you.
Right.
And then you sit around here and you complain about wanting stuff to change. Why do you keep? I just don't understand the people that keeps begging for the abuser to stop abusing them, but you keep going back to what? Like, the abuser doesn't even have you chained up. You literally get abused, leave, go do what you, and come back and like, okay, let's see if he does something else. You're like, no, why do you keep coming over here? I am going to abuse you, idiot. Why don't you take your money and build up your infrastructure? But we won't do it because we think everything white is better. We think the white school is better. We think that the white library is better. We think that the white neighborhood is better. We think everything white is better.
Yes.
We do. And I want people to know this. I went to a predominantly black educational system, and there was a gob of us who went to top 25, top 100 PWIs that have great careers. So that's a myth.
Right.
Education is what you make of it. That's a myth.
Right.
Now if you want to be an ignorant, cotton-headed ninny muggins who doesn't want to take advantage of education, and you want to thug and sell drugs, that's on you. You're going to be the moron locked up in prison and getting out trying to talk to kids in a group home. You know what, young man? I was just like you. Out in these streets, I was gang banging. I was on the G. I was gangster disciple. I can spit all that literature for you right now, G. Okay? I sold drugs. I shot at niggas. Okay? I did all that. And where'd that get me? 15 years locked down, 23 hours. 1 hour to go out to the yard, young man. You don't want to be like me.
I can't stand you.
That's what it is. I don't know.
The comments we're getting are beginning to get.
I need to address a couple comments here.
Please.
Kenneth Michael LeBlanc. We are not reporting news. We are having discussions that make people think about things and make people question this country. So if you want happy news, BuzzFeed is available. Johnny Cole. Who are the same people who call same-sex marriage a sin? I don't think we've been talking about anybody in this topic of discussion has been attacking same-sex marriage. Not Starbucks.
Yeah.
Not black men. Not the police. So who is this American Taliban that you're referring to? Yes. Please explain or not. But we're gonna move on to our next topic.
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Well, American Taliban.
Friday night, it was announced as I was eating a delicious dinner with family that our president made a decision. Let's roll this clip to just clue everybody in if they didn't get enough information about #Syria strikes.
Earlier today, President Trump directed the U.S. military to conduct operations in consonance with our allies to destroy the Syrian regime's chemical weapons research, development, and production capability. Tonight, France, the United Kingdom, and the United States took decisive action to strike the Syrian chemical weapons infrastructure. Clearly, the Assad regime did not get the message last year. This time, our allies and we have struck harder. Together, we have sent a clear message to Assad and his murderous lieutenants that they should not perpetrate another chemical weapons attack for which they will be held accountable.
Oh, yes. Your president, number 45, said we bombing Syria. And as you see from Defense Secretary Mattis, he explained why we did it. But it's funny because this tweet got pulled in the receipts. You know, Twitter is great for going back and finding issues said years ago. And so y'all's Donald Trump said this, is this 5 years ago? Almost 5 years ago, where he said, what will we get for bombing Syria besides more debt and a possible long-term conflict? Obama needs congressional approval, which he did not get. Obama did not get approval by the GOP Congress to strike Syria, but here we are in the midst of our president having all kinds of personal scandal and trials and tribulation, and you on a Friday night decide to strike Syria.
Yeah, let's wag the dog. Let's wag the dog.
Talk about it.
Well, there's nothing really to talk about here because what's funny is President Obama failed in Syria as well.
Yes.
Senator John Kerry, you know, they really thought that they got a lot of the chemical weapons out of Assad's possession, and it wasn't true. And they really dropped the ball on Syria. They really botched Syria.
Right.
He did. It was a failure.
Yes.
But to say that, you know, bombing Syria was dead and impossible. So he should have done more. He should have done more. He didn't, and you said that it was a problem when continuing to this day, Assad is still using chemical warfare.
Yes. And has been. Let me read this because you know I had to fact check. That's my job here at FCN. So Victoria Brownworth at Vab Fox on Twitter, she's an award-winning investigative journalist. She says since Trump has been in the White House, there have been 34 chemical weapon attacks by Assad that have been definitively established by outside investigators. Trump responded to one on April 7, 2017 to show off for a foreign guest. And then she says he has not responded to any other chemical weapons attacks by Assad before that one or since until yesterday. So where a lot of people were like, oh, he needed to do this, it was important for him to, no, Assad's been doing quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is not his first, second, or third. He's been continually doing it.
Yes. And you know what's funny to me is look at the despots whom our government has removed and deemed like, hey, we got to remove this guy. It's almost like watching a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. It's like, who's going to be America's villain? This, you know, it's like, what is going on? Like, how we hated, what was your guy? And we know Bin Laden, but what was his name? Saddam. Hated Saddam. He went over, he gassed the Kurds, and we went to all-out war for gassing the Kurds.
Yes. Yes.
But we've allowed Assad to operate in the open for how long now? For
a long time. So let me say this. So apparently the Chemical Weapons Convention was organized by the U.S. under Bill Clinton in 1992, where 165 member nations agreed to this convention, which meant destroying all of their chemical weapons. The U.S. destroyed 86% of its, okay? Assad was like, hell no, he didn't. So since 1992, at least this fool has been doing what he's doing in the open.
In the open. Gassing folks.
Gassing folks. Gassing children. Gassing folks.
Gassing women. Innocents.
Yes.
Civilians. Who, like, it is unreal. And yet, President Obama, and let me say this. Let me say this. A good friend of mine, Chantel, you know, she made a comment on Instagram talking about 45 doing this. I said, well, let's be clear. President Obama has done things too. And we go all the way back to Clinton. Clinton has some of the most blood on his hands in our era. Yes. Like, Clinton was grimy. Like, especially when you start looking at the Starbucks, start looking at police, a lot comes from the Clinton era of mass incarceration and filling up privatized prisons with black and brown people. So it's amazing to me, like, if we're going to be the world watchdog and listen, why isn't anyone else saying like, yo, what's going on over there? We need to stop him. Why are we always the ones that have to move first? So England doesn't think that Assad's a problem.
I believe, weren't they a part of the attack? Oh, after the fact. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what they do. They
Okay.
go, what does America think about it? I don't believe. Oh, wait. Our cousins across the pond want to. Finally, yes. Oh, okay. Send the drones. Pip, and all that chat.
Pip and all that chat.
Yeah. And all that rubbish. You know? So, but it's like, what are we going to do? Like, listen. It's a slippery slope, you know, of becoming a hero to becoming a totalitarian overseer. And sometimes this is what America gets cited with. We get smacked with that all the time. Man, stay out of our country. But like, hey, let's look at it. Somebody help me out here domestically. If your next door neighbor, you hear every night, your next door neighbor, a man, he's 6'5", 300 pounds, and he's slapping around his wife that's 5'6", 125 pounds. Are we supposed to ignore that, or are we supposed to?
We are not.
Pick up the phone at the very
minimum.
Pick up the phone and call the police and make documentation of what we are witnessing, and to please go check on her. Are we supposed to do that?
We should. I feel we have a moral duty to do so.
So I don't know. You know, America could be one of the greatest places to help people that need help, and I think that, you know, this any population of people where there's a madman, some type of tyrant who is killing you indiscriminately needs to be stopped.
And on the note of helping people, I believe this year, it may have been within the last year, but this year at least, I saw a statistic. We have let 11 Syrian refugees into this country.
Yes.
So if we're going to help them,
and more in the prior 2 years.
So if we're going to help them, is bombing the country the best way to help them?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's the frustration, at least for me, is you're doing this, Trump, to just deflect what's going on. You know, James Comey just released his book about his experiences, and he does not withhold any punches in talking about Trump. He calls him a mafia boss. He describes in detail and just analogizing him and how he wants loyalty from people so that he can continue to do his dirt. He said he is an unethical man, completely untethered to truth, with his most intellectual way of describing someone, calling them a liar. James Comey has an interview tonight. I'll certainly be watching that. But I am frustrated that there are other ways to help people in Syria, including what Jaco, our producer, just mentioned, versus bombing them.
Other nations.
What?
Other nations, though. Like, you know, they're, again, like I said, a neighbor.
The United Nations is
like a nation. Like, who's next door to Syria? Who are the two? Is it Jordan? Is it, like, who's right around Syria? I can't think of the people that border.
I don't know. That's worth it.
Okay, but here's my problem, right? Is that we're too far away. If I'm right next door and I see what's going on, let me help you.
Turkey, Iraq, and Jordan.
Boom. I knew Jordan was one. Okay. Thank you, sir. Turkey. Those, it should be a coalition of the willing to say, hey, go. We've opened up our borders. We're letting refugees in Turkey, Jordan, and Iraq. We're letting them in. Like, why do we have? And I'm not being xenophobic here, but what I'm saying is that, like, why do you have to transport your entire reality thousands of miles away when you can be very near home and check on family, and people can just get across borders, and it's just relatively more easy to go to Jordan, Turkey, and Iraq. Like, I just don't get it. And yes, is he deflecting? Sure, but I just kind of want to. I'm not a Trump guy.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, are you supporting Trump's move here? Like, can you?
I'm not a Trump guy, but yeah, I will. Like the Comey comments, like, look, man, like, you all believe Clinton, and Clinton was the biggest liar ever. He was just as big a liar as Nixon. Like, Kennedy was a liar. Like, all of these presidents were like, we could go all the way back. who out here was ethical? Like we're talking.
None.
But so why?
But I believe that for everyone, this is just a whole nother level. That
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I think that
everyone wants loyalty. Let's be very clear here. No one of you will get into a position and say, can I hire my friends to get in here and get them paid and I can get some loyalty, get some stuff. Everyone will do it. And I'm not supporting Trump, but I just don't like this idea of everyone living in these glass houses and not being real. If the moment, let me tell you something, when I become governor, you best believe all you Mickey Fickies is getting hired. Like I'm
not saying no to the job. Chief of staff, here I am.
I'm hiring everybody I know. I'm putting everybody on. Listen, is it gonna be some stuff that people are gonna deem unethical because I have an agenda? Like, oh, you can't do that. Well, I have an agenda. I have an agenda, and you're not gonna think that's very ethical. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
I hear what you're saying. I think the difference is the results and how it's being done. Like he's not presidential. I don't think he's doing anything well. We've never seen anything like this. So
you haven't?
Tell me, have we seen anything like this?
Like what?
I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before.
Like what?
Okay, so with Trump, like his tantrums, his statement, I feel like, and let me just say this because this is probably the most accurate way I can put it, is I agree with you. Other presidents have been unethical. There's lots of things you got to do when you're at the top and you're wielding that kind of power and control. Absolutely. And I'm just like, but where is Trump's polish and PR to get things done without looking this way?
Everyone doesn't have that. Like, listen.
It really seems like you are supporting Trump in this moment and his decision to attack Syria this Friday. That's what it sounds like to me. It seems like you are defending his decision to bomb Syria at this time and at this moment.
I don't think that's what it sounds like.
I didn't hear that at all. I'm not even hearing the comments are necessarily in relation to the bombing. They're just in relation to the presidency because we kind of got into the way he conducts himself as a president in general, not necessarily related. I mean, because Comey's book isn't about Syria,
right?
And so you mentioned that. You mentioned
as an example of the deflection of what's going on. Like that's in the press, and then you've got the Russian investigation and Cohen, his lawyer, and that's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, real quick. Katie Lynn Knight asks, "Would you hire the people you know, even if they are dangerous, to put in that position?"
No, I would not. I would not. Thank you. Who asked that?
Katie Lynn Knight. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that's Kite.
Okay, Miss Knight. No, I would not hire people that I feel are dangerous to the citizens and to govern them. I absolutely would not do that. So you have a valid point. Here's my thing. Trump, just like President Obama, President Trump they're the only two presidents who have been presidents during the social media age.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And let's be very clear. Is he a narcissist? Absolutely. Yes. Was Nixon a narcissist?
I've read enough about Nixon to know that
Nixon had a famous enemies list.
Yes, he certainly.
He had an enemies list where he was going after anyone who was against it. If you were a reporter, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you." I don't see that there's much difference between a Nixon and let me be very clear here. Nixon would have won every single election he was in. Nixon was a skilled and polished politician.
Yes, he was.
But Nixon was also very much a no-nonsense president. He wasn't finna, split a lot of hairs with you. But he was beloved. Like a lot of people like Nixon.
Right.
You have a point?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you
took in a lot of breath.
You did.
So, I don't know. I think that, sure, does it sound like I'm supporting him? But I think that what happens is I think that we there's a whole bunch about Donald Trump to be desired. Like, I'm not saying that, but I think you all are very naive about the office of the president of the United States of America. I think that is my point. I think you all have this thing where, like, he's the worst, he's this, he's that. When guess what? How many years ago has it been now? 12 years?
Bush.
You all were saying Bush
Yeah.
was the worst. And now history has redefined him.
Yes. Completely.
And we go, no, he wasn't so bad. But I was saying, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting for you to finish your point. Just gonna read a couple comments.
I was there. I voted for Bush. It's not a secret.
Right.
I loved President Bush. I thought he was an awesome president. Everyone has different skill sets.
Right.
I wasn't a fan of President Obama. I wasn't.
Right. That's not a secret either.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Anyone who watches Sunday Edition, that is not a secret.
I've always said, President Bush is John Wayne. President Obama is Steve Urkel. And, did I do that? Like, he's a nerd. He's an ineffectual nerd. He's 1 minute he's Steve Urkel, the next minute he's Stefan. And he's cool. And, hey, baby, I'm trying, and I just I wasn't for it. I want somebody that's like, guess what we're going to do? We're going to go in, we're going to find them, and we're going to smoke them out. We're going to win this at all costs. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm an American. I don't make no bones about it. I want a president that's going to talk that talk. I want a Texan. I want the 10-gallon hat. I want you to come in. Yeah! I want that dude as my president. I want the dude like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bomb their ass back to the Stone Age. I'm like, yeah! America! I'm that guy.
So I got a couple comments. Larry Banks, he said this before your comment, so it was right on time. He said the difference is social media. We are more aware because everyone tweets, reports, records everything now more than in any decade. Miss Katie Kite, we apologize. It is Kite, not Night. Okay. And then Leo White also said this before you touched on this topic. He said no matter who you put in position, they're going to be dangerous. Just because he hasn't picked from the political litter doesn't mean they are better. Politicians kill people, period.
Period. That's the truth. Like, we all have this flower power, love child, kumbaya. Listen, the highest office in this land and most lands that cover God's grace is the United States of America. And when you are that president, let me tell you something. You citizens love the taste, and shut up, you vegans. You shut your mouths before I finish my analogy. Shut up. You all love the taste of delicious omelets. You all love them. You like them cheesy. You like them with green peppers. You like them with onions. You like them with mushrooms. You want them flipped over. You want them nice and fluffy. And guess what? To get that fluffy ass omelet, you got to break some dumbass foreign eggs. You got to bomb those eggs back to the damn Stone Age. You got to bomb them back to the Stone Age.
I'm usually on board with your analogies. I don't know about that one.
Bomb them eggs back to... No, I'm joking. But, like legit, these guys have blood on their hands. They're killing people. They're killing people. Every last one of them. Every last one of them has given an order to kill.
Yes, that is all very accurate.
The person that probably didn't was Mr. Malaise himself.
Carter.
Well, I'm not gonna kill nobody. I want everybody to go down to my peanut farm and pick peanuts, except you good black folks. You picked enough.
I'm gonna real quick before we go to the next topic. I'm gonna put my input on the quote difference between Trump and other presidents. The difference between Trump and other presidents is Trump has dropped the facade of political correctness and therefore pulled down the curtain of blatant racism in America. Of the feelings. And it was a backlash. It was an obvious backlash from having a black president for 8 years. So the
totally was respectability,
right,
all that, right.
And so the only difference in truth between this narcissist and the next is that he's being out in the open, which should be looked at as an advantage because now we know what we are fighting against. They are no longer holding on to these pretenses, pretending like it doesn't exist. Oh, that shit exists.
Oh yeah, and you can't go and fold your Nazi uniform up and put it in the back of the closet and pretend you weren't forcing women and children into the showers without water. What's the next topic?
Next topic and the last one is Zuckerberg # delete Facebook. For those who do not know,
sexy.
I don't know how you wouldn't, but Facebook is going through it right now because of the Cambridge Analytica debacle. It's come out that 87 million users on Facebook's information was used by this company to do targeted political ads to target them. They were using their information without the permission, using their friends' information without their permission. And they are on an apology tour right now. Zuckerberg testified for 2 days, 10 hours total, 600 questions in Congress last week, answering questions about Facebook, how it works. Very funny. But really going to the topic of should Facebook be regulated. Sheryl Sandberg is making comments about they're looking into notifying the 87 million users whose information was given without their permission. They have said that they are not going to notify anybody if your information was used for the Russian investigation and all that kind of stuff. But I think the biggest part of this is that Tim Cook, who is the CEO of Apple, and Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak, have come out and made statements about this situation. And I think I have some notes here about what they said. So Tim Cook has shunned the social network's capitalization on users' private data. And co-founder Steve Wozniak, he delivered his thoughts in an email interview with US Today. He said he's quitting Facebook. He said because they are profiting off users without giving back to them. He says Apple makes its money off of good products, not you. With Facebook, you are the product. He said he was surprised at the number of advertisers he had to unlink from his own personal Facebook account. And he was like, the lack of transparency with the ads and spam is just unbelievable. So he said he's phasing out his account so that he no longer has Facebook. And it has gotten people on social media to do #delete Facebook to encourage others to delete their accounts from the platform. And so definitely wanted to talk about that. I know I have some points on that from a business perspective, if not personal. I see Facebook, people are calling Facebook a payola type scam.
Yes.
I don't necessarily agree that it is payola, but I see the analogy. I would definitely say it's more of just regular extortion, if you will, because
that's payola.
No, payola is if you're paying somebody to promote something and you're not disclosing to the public that it is that you've sponsored it. It's a sponsored post. So Facebook indeed is avoiding payola because when you pay to boost a post, there is the sponsored. I looked up payola. I had to do it this morning. And
but the term payola comes from the old radio days.
Yes, I know. And
but that's not to sponsor it though. That's not what that is. It was DJs getting paid like, yo, play my record over and over.
Which is sponsorship. It is promotion. So I had to look it up.
That gets so technical.
It does. And so the laws that they enacted to say so that you weren't in violation of payola was sponsorship identification. So anything that's an ad and you're paying somebody to endorse a product, which is exactly what that is when you're getting DJs to pay, you have to put that it's sponsored, or you have to announce on the radio, hey, this is sponsored, like you have to say that. So they definitely get over that by putting the sponsor. So that's why I'm like, no, this is more of extortion.
Okay,
because you're paying, as businesses, you are paying not to get access to a huge wide audience. You have to pay a middleman to get access to whom you already have access to. So you're not even getting any real return. So you have 600 likes on your fan group page, or you have 8 million followers or whatever. But Facebook comes in like the mob boss. If you want access to your own damn following, you gotta pay us. You have to pay us. And I feel like that's extortion.
Goes.
Listen. Hello. Don't get caught up on the trivial details. Okay. But you get my point. And so there was an article. There was an article that was released by Funny or Die. It was an article where they said Facebook has killed comedy, and he said that he did use the word payola, but he gave this great example where he said it's kind of like you subscribe to a newspaper, but you have to pay the paper boy for every article that you want to see. And so Facebook is very much like that. So for me, I'm like, I think it's time to get off Facebook because you're having to pay for people that you already have access to, and it's not leading them anywhere. They're not going to websites. They're not going to wherever you want to lead them. Okay. Everything is all on Facebook. So I say delete Facebook, if not for personal reasons, but if you are a business, because it isn't doing anything at all to help your business. It's taking your money twice. Not only the money you're giving it, but the ad revenue it's making off of your content, it's keeping it 100% and you're not getting any return.
Well, if you're a business owner and you're not savvy to create your website and then to webmaster said site, and you can go and create a business page on Facebook, and it does allow you to generate leads and people come in and see your product, that's very helpful. You know, Facebook is very helpful to those people. If you're looking at Facebook as someone who, let's say for instance, they are a media upstart and they are attempting to grow their broadcast, and when they first start, they're getting 400 views. Just by starting up, all the views are happening. And then at some point, they start to taper off the views, and the views become smaller and smaller, and then they tell you, hey, they literally come knock on your door. Hey, you know, you guys can get more views if you just pay us. And it's like, well, we were getting those views regardless, then it stopped, and now you want me to pay you to get those views back. And so that's problematic.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah, but I think you said for everybody, and so I took two parts to this. I said one person shouldn't delete it. Like, they need Facebook because they're not good webmasters. They don't know how to use Wix. They don't know how to use WordPress. Facebook is much more easier to navigate. But Facebook is just like what I said in the Starbucks story. Facebook has become cultural. You're not hip if you're not on Facebook. If you don't have, like, it's just sad. Everyone has to buy into all of these systems that didn't exist before. So why do you have to live in these spaces now? You know, and Mark Zuckerberg is taking advantage of people because you want to be, because listen, wait, I have something just like anyone, a product, I'm going to get paid off of it.
That's right.
And he found a way. And you all allowed it. You all, he didn't innovate much. You know, MySpace was brilliant.
Way better.
MySpace was brilliant, but you know, here comes a new kid on the block, and everybody said Facebook is better, and and everybody moved over to Facebook, and so now you have to go over there to be social, and then he just he's a profiteer. He just, is he a smart businessman? I don't know. During a congressional hearing, I don't think he was. It didn't sound like he knew much about coding or how Facebook worked. He's either wholly oblivious or he's wholly manipulative. And I don't know about. Wait, what's this platform you talking? Facebook?
When they asked him who his competitors were,
and he didn't answer,
he was like, well,
I read that he underwent lots of hours of media training to prepare for that congressional interview. It definitely showed in his oblivion in certain answers and his evasiveness for answering other questions. We talked about that on Prime News. You want to show people those clips or nah? Like,
they're up here?
No, the video clips from they're not up here.
Oh.
This is just people saying the easy way to delete Facebook. 5 steps. Tell people goodbye. Pre-delete your contacts and save your photos elsewhere, delete them all, delete as much info, and delete the app and be gone. Even if you delete the app, they'll still hold it for 14 days. If you log back in,
it'll come back up.
It'll come back up. So if you do it, don't log back in. But I'm in agreement with getting off of Facebook. I'm in agreement even with businesses not having pages on Facebook. There's more and more studies and articles coming out that people are not leaving the site to go to independent websites anymore. That in the beginning people did. That if you did something like, oh, I'd like to see more of this, but Facebook has become such the big publisher that people are just stuck in that platform scrolling. They're not clicking out to go see your other content. So if you're trying to make money off of content, they're like, don't even be on Facebook because no one's going there. You have to put it on your own independent website and go back to internet 1.0, where there was fun in discovering these independent sites and you found something cool, if you will. And I'm paraphrasing that article, that Facebook Code Comedy, but they're like just going there and finding these cool things in these independent sites and just being and living on those spaces. But over time, Facebook kept integrating more and more stuff so that you just had basically your website on Facebook. It's been detrimental to a lot of businesses. They've had to cut out a lot of things, and yeah.
I want to comment real quick on a personal note, because we're addressing the business side, but I think the whole controversy came from sharing of private personal information.
Yes.
I don't do anything that if released to the public I would be shamed for life, but I also don't want anyone to know what I say to people in the privacy of a conversation. So just the thought that people have access to that disturbs me, and that's where I think should be a big focus on this. Like, if you're gonna allow people to be on here and you want to charge people in some way, that's fine, but don't keep their information. It's not yours. You don't have any kind of a right to it, even if you get them to click on some thinly worded agreement that says they're giving up their privacy. That shouldn't exist.
Yeah, and to be honest, after watching a couple hours of the congressional hearing, I don't get the sense that Facebook gives a single fudge, and they will continue to do what they're doing. They're making lots of money selling information to advertisers, and they're saying that they're going to change their terms and conditions to make them more plain language, but people aren't thinking of that stuff. They just want to be on there with their friends and the, what do you call it, like the place to be or whatever, the status thing what you said with Starbucks. But I get the sense Facebook is going to do the bare minimum they have to in order to just keep going. I just see them continuing to be unethical in these ways. I don't see them trying to actually do something that's right.
I need you to address this. I'm sorry, did you have to address this comment, Trezene? Sheila Hajali says, but as well, a lot of people are making money off of Facebook with live feeds just like yours right now. That's not true.
That is not true. This is not YouTube. And that's YouTube. You are making good money with doing your live feeds and posting your videos based on the number of views you get. On on Facebook, we are not getting checks for the content that we are posting. You're not getting checks based on the number of views you get and the minutes viewed. Now, maybe there might be a different arrangement with people who are the official Facebook content creators and that it comes up as episodes, but not this, not at all. Not at all.
Unless you really monetize yourself well, t-shirts and booking engagements.
Yeah, but that's not off of your content.
That's not
and again,
based off of your relationship with Facebook.
That people are less and less clicking to buy your merchandise. They are just watching your content for whatever, and then they scroll to the next thing. And so it's become problematic for businesses. We're doing all this content. You're making money off of Facebook and are not sharing the dividends. That's the craziest fraudulent investment scheme. It's a fraudulent investment scheme to me. Like, I can't quite call it Ponzi scheme, but man, what an investment to try to give y'all money and giving y'all content, and y'all aren't giving us anything in return. It is a bad investment.
Well, I think there are lots of pros and cons across the board with this discussion. For me, there's themes to like, there's themes that I dislike, but Facebook and people, the people who are plugged in will not unplug. Like they just won't, So Facebook will not die. It will remain. And just like Starbucks, just like Jordans, just like,
because people
iPhone.
Want what they want.
Yeah.
And, they obviously just don't care at the end of the day what's happening over here. They just want to use the product.
Absolutely. Just like no one cared that little Asian kids are making their sneakers and their favorite fashion line, and they're in terrible work conditions and slave labor. No one cares though, because you're fresh. You're fresh to death. And so you have to ask yourself, and that's the thing that I feel that I am as a person. is that I'm always asking yourself, where is your line of morality? Like where is the barometer for moral and ethical for you? When you know, once you find out something, like once you see, like, and I make jokes about vegans, but once you see, you know, animals in their captive conditions before they come out as food, and the treatment that they have, how can you continue to eat that? And you see how they treat it. How can you continue to buy Michael Jordans or Nikes, and you know the conditions that these people are in, or in China with iPhones, and you know, like, it's just a lot. Like, where do you draw the line? But for the sake of your entertainment, and that's, you know, it's bread and circuses. It's no different than you know, antiquity, when you build the Colosseum, people are starving, and give them games, give them gladiatory games, and give them loaves of bread. And what did Marie Antoinette said? Oh, well, let them eat cake. Oh, they want cake. They want it lit because cake was for them. Oh, well, let them eat cake. And that's what, listen, they have learned throughout history that this is how you pacify. This is how you quell. This is how you make a citizen docile. You give them bread and circuses, man.
Pretty much.
You give them entertainment, and you know, they will get mushy and pudgy, and their spirit to fight will not exist because they are afraid to lose their $100,000 income, their home, their job, their friends on social media. Like, people are just afraid to lose. And you can't ask people to boycott Starbucks, to delete Facebook, to not. You're telling them to go without, and no one wants to go without. People like their creature comforts much too much, and no one will make sacrifices that could change everyone's existence for the good of mankind. We're not, as human beings, we're not in the business of that. As much as you like to think that we are, as much as people like to quote Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., all these great people who sacrificed their careers and their lives for their ideologies, this modern person only cares about stuff and the accumulation of said stuff. No one is gonna go without. It's just the reality. So I don't know.
That's
you
a
have
terrible
anything?
reality. No, I think I just got depressed. Like, seriously. We have any other comments? No, I think we addressed most of those. Ooh, this has been just a depressing conversation for sure. I think personally, I would like to get off Facebook. Remains to be seen how that might happen. This has been another episode of the Sunday Edition. I'm Trezene, the editor of FCN One, home of news, business, and politics. This is The Revolution. He's editor of FCN Five, home of all things pop culture. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and follow. We are here every Sunday around 4 p.m.-ish. You can find us on YouTube at The Fifth Column Network. We're still on Facebook currently at The Fifth Column Network. We're also on Instagram at FCN_Prime. You'll see that we have 5 accounts there as well. And then we're also on Twitter at FCN_Prime. We thank y'all so much for watching. If you haven't also too, go to our website, thefifthcolumnnetwork.com. All of our episodes are available on demand there, so you can go back and catch up on some episodes you might have missed tonight. Won't be any speak on it at 7 p.m. tonight, but there will be We the Dead, The Walking Dead finale pre-game show hosted by the Reggie Mathis, so you definitely don't want to miss it. So again, go like, subscribe, and follow. And of course, I will be back tomorrow for Prime News at 7 p.m. Thank you all for watching. What?
7 p.m.-ish.
Oh yeah, that's right, 7 p.m.-ish. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. We will see you all next time.